This afternoon, we will consider 40 local bills on the establishment and conversion of various LTO, LTFRB, and MARINA offices, and 14 franchise bills, 3 broadcast, 8 telecommunications, 2 power, and 1 racetrack. We have a lengthy agenda, but it is not impossible to finish in one afternoon. These are straightforward measures which have been vetted by this committee. On the other hand, we may still have some concerns. For an orderly and productive discussion, we will first tackle the local bills, followed by the franchise bills. Before anything else, nais ko pong ipaalala sa lahat na ang sentro ng pagdinig na ito ay serbisyo publiko. We need to have the same objectives in providing better public services to our fellow Filipinos. For the local bills, the enactment of these measures would mean the greater accessibility and improvement in services for our monitoring public. Mababawasan na ang gastos o pamasahe at hindi na rin ubos oras ang pagbabiyahe sa malalayong sangay ng LTO, LTFRB at MARINA. Dahil hindi crowded ang mga opisina, mas maikli na rin ang pila at hindi na maghihintay ng matagal ang ating mga kababayan. Mailalaan ang kanilang pera at oras sa mga mas makabuluhang bagay sa kanilang buhay at pamilya. Second, these new offices mean better working conditions for our fellow public servants in the covered offices. Existing satellites and extension officers were created merely through administrative orders. Thus, they are inherently limited in terms of capacity and budget. Their employees, which are either borrowed from other district offices or are job order personnel, take the responsibility of heavy workload due to high daily transaction, which exceeds their office's internal capacity. The conversion of these extension and satellite offices into regular district offices will provide plantilla positions and more funding. Ang mga manggagawa ay magiging regular, makakatanggap sila ng mas nararapat na pasahod at mabibigyan ng mas maayos na pasilidad at kagamitan sa paggampan nila ng kanilang tungkulin. That is why the committee is keen and persistent in creating and converting these offices. However, these offices must not forget that with greater power is more accountability. Through this hearing, we will make sure that the creation or conversion of these offices is not pursued for any political or economic gain, but purely in service of our countrymen. Serve the people properly and efficiently. For the franchise bills, we never fail to say that the grant of a franchise is not a right, but a privilege which carries immense responsibility. Maaari itong tanggalin, bawiin, o baguhin ng Estado sa oras na hindi ninyo magampanan ang inyong pangunahing layuning pagsilbihan ang publiko. You ought to continuously improve, upgrade, and expand to the satisfaction of the public. Thus, Congress has the responsibility to ensure that only the most qualified and most responsible be granted the privilege. To new franchise applicants, you need to establish that there's a public need for the service that you are going to provide. Consider this as your job interview. What are your services? What services will you provide? Do you have the resources and experience to provide these services? Prove your competence and capacity to this committee. For those who are seeking a renewal of their franchise, you need to convince this committee that your performance was satisfactory. Bago isulong ng komite ang inyong prangkisa sa plenaryo, kailangan masiguro naming ginawa ninyo ang inyong responsibilidad. We have invited government regulators to assist us in determining whether you have faithfully complied with all the duties and deliverables attached as conditions for the enjoyment of your existing franchises. As I always say, serbisyo muna bago prangkisa. We also invited stakeholders to air their views about these franchises. While we welcome new players, we want to make sure that all participants are fit to offer their avowed public service so as to encourage competition and drive companies to provide better service and meet end user expectations. So, with that, I would like to thank my fellow senators who are present here today. Of course, the expert on concerns on power and energy, we have Senator Gatchalian. We also have our hardworking and very insightful Senator Nancy Binay, and of course, our tireless advocate for more efficient laws, our expert, our legal luminary in the Senate, our well-loved and respected minority leader, Senator Franklin Drilon. Thank you for your presence here today. I would like to remind our resource persons, we would like to finish this as soon as possible. No one here wants to be in a lengthy Zoom hearing. So please keep your responses short, to the point. If we cannot delve into certain aspects of your application deeper, we can request for you to submit a position paper addressing our concerns. So with that, the committee secretary, please read for the record all the resource persons present, their companies and designation, anyone who's logged in today, and if our fellow senators have an opening statement after the resource persons have been names have been read, we will proceed with your opening statements. Go ahead, Secretariat. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. As of now, we have the following resource persons. From the Department of Transportation, we have Ms. Maria Lourdes T. Pagtalunan, Senior Communication Development Officer as Observer. From the Land Transportation Office, we have Mr. Edgar Galvante and Mr. Benjamin Santiago III, Regional Director, LTO NCR East. From the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, we have Mr. Joel Bolano, the Executive Director. From the Department of Energy, we have Director Mario C. Marasigan. From the Electric Power Industry Management Bureau, Mr. Antonio S. Barcelona, Supervising Science Research Specialist, and Ms. Lulingning Baltasar, Division Chief. From the Department of Budget and Management, we have Ms. Helen Holgado, Ms. Valerie Sobrepeña, Ms. Loremi Pereda. From the Department of Information and Communications Technology, Attorney Elias Omar Sana, Legislative Liaison Division Chief. From the Philippine Competition Commission, Attorney Ramon Jeriel S. Sawit, Legislative and Policy Officer, together with Attorney Jared S. Rivera, Attorney 3. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney Marie Grace Angan, Securities Counsel 2 from the Office of General Counsel, Attorney Joseph Thomas Recalde, Securities Counsel, Company Registration and Monitoring Department, and Attorney John Paul Fernandez, Securities Counsel, Company Registration and Monitoring Department also. From the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas, Mr. Herman Z. Pasbano, the President. From the Games and Amusement Board, Ms. Marisa Biso, the Chief of the Horse Racing Betting Supervision Division. From the National Electrification Administration, we have Attorney Rosan Rosero Lee, Deputy Administrator, Legal Services Office. From the Bureau of Animal Industry, Mr. Gilbert C. Bolo Jr., Farm Superintendent 3. From the Energy Regulatory Commission, Attorney Maria Corazon C. Gines or Hines, Director, Legal Service. From the Lanao del Norte Electric Cooperative or LANECO, the President, Engineer Baldomero A. Zamora. From the Bicol Light and Power Corporation, we have Mr. Guido Alfredo A. Delgado, the Acting President, Attorney Alma Santiago, and Mr. Ramon Marcos Pernia Jr. From the Camarines Sur 3 Electric Cooperative Inc., Ms. Ana Silvia Alcisto, the Chairperson, together with Attorney Veronica T. Briones, Co-Chairman, Mr. Perfecto Ignatius D.C. Cheng IV, Acting Secretary, Mr. Wilbur V. Almoneda, the Treasurer, Reverend Father Ray B. Caceres, Auditor, and Engineer Wilfredo O. Buxit, Acting General Manager. And also we have Mr. Irvin B. Boncasas, Education Officer. From the National Union of Workers in the Power Industry as an observer, we have Mr. Noel Fucio, the President of the Supervisory Union at Marina Sur 3 Electric Cooperative, Power Centro. From the Lanao del Sur Electric Cooperative Inc. or La Sureco, we have Ms. Nordiana Lukman Dipatuan Dukol, the General Manager, together with Attorney Norosana Alauya Sani, and Mr. Kins Alhansa M. Panondiongan, Executive Assistant. From the Sulu Tawi-Tawi Broadcasting Foundation Inc., we have Father Raul S. Veneracion, the Chief Executive Officer. From the Soundstream Broadcasting Corporation, Ms. Jane Oxon, the President General Manager, together with Attorney Stanley Cabrera. From the Panay Telephone Corporation, Mr. Cedric M. Sazon, the President. From the Independent Telephone Company Inc., Mr. Larry Carino, the President. From Ojongan Telephone Corporation, Mr. Leonardo Lota, the President. From Iriga Telephone Company Inc., Mr. Felipe Gerardo Ortega, the President. From the Sultan Kudarat Telephone System Inc., Mr. Jose L. Lagon Jr., the Executive Vice President. From RC Euro Telephone System Inc., we have Mr. Renato Euro, the President. From Marbel Telephone System Inc., Mr. Ben Jonas Y. Garcia, the Junior Executive Officer for Operations. From Happy Jackie Club Inc., we have Mr. Raymond Puyat, the President, together with Attorney Sergio Pinlac, the Counsel for Happy Jackie Club from Puyat, Jacinto, and Santos Law. For the creation of LTO offices, we have Attorney Teofilo Guadis III, Regional Director for Region 1 of LTO. Mr. Romeo Solomon Sergio A. Sales, Regional Director, LTO Region 2. Mr. Eduardo C. De Guzman, Regional Director of LTO Region 3. Ms. Zenaida C. Sundiam, the Head for Region 3, Mabalacat City Office. Ms. Susan D. Gabriel, the Head for Region 3, San Jose City, Nueva Ecija Office. From Mr. Lawrence C. De Chavez, Head for LTO Region 4, Tanay LTO. Mr. Hilarion E. Ulep, Regional Director for LTO Region 4B. Mr. Francisco P. Ranches Jr., the Regional Director for Region 5 of LTO, together with Ms. Maricar B. Butalid, Ms. Dina G. David, Ms. Marie Ana S. Guevara. We have from LTO Region 6, Mr. Eric Leonard E. Abaldo, Regional Director, together with Mr. Gary Glenn Aris, Executive Assistant 3. We have also Ms. Elsa L. Castaños, the OIC Head for LTO Pasig, Iloilo. Ms. Maria Bernadette Batilaran, the Head of the LTO Region 6 Gimbal Office. Mr. Victor Emmanuel C. Caindec, Regional Director for Region 7. We have Mr. Rodelio V. Ulikit, Regional Director for LTO Region 8. We have Attorney Aminola P. Abaton, Regional Director for Region 9, LTO Region 9. Ms. Sheila Marie B. Pili, Head of LTO Region 9, Molave, LTO. We have Mr. Nelson S. Manaloto, Regional Director of LTO Region 10, together with Mr. Arthur M. Ranque, Assistant Regional Director, with Engineer Virgie Consejo Pacas, OIC for Operations Division, and Ms. Rosalie Lumakang, OIC for Transportation Regulations Office. We have Mr. Rosalito R. Silva, the Head of LTO Region 10, and Mr. Macario D. Gonzaga, Regional Director for LTO Region 12. For LTO Caraga, we have Mr. Lino M. España Jr., the OIC Chief for Operations Division. For the establishment of LTFRB offices, we have Colonel Renwick K. Rutacchio, Regional Director for LTFRB Region 4. For creation and conversion of Marina offices, we have Engineer Rodolfo Paner, the OIC of Marina Regional Office 8. Madam Chair, that would be all for the meantime. We also have Attorney Ermar U. Benitez, the Chief of Legal Division of the Games and Amusement Board. That would be all for the meantime, Madam Chair. That's all.
Later on, I think we will be joined by Congressman El Rey Villafuerte, also one of the ones concern for the Bicol Light and Power. Okay, so with those names, may I ask my colleagues present here today if any of you would like to give an opening statement before we begin? Okay, wala. So now let's start with the establishment of the different LTO offices. I think that it's pretty straightforward. These are the LTO offices in Ildefonso, Ilocos Sur, and then a district office in Bantay, Ilocos Sur, district office in Alicia, Isabela, satellite office in Aliaga, Nueva Ecija, a satellite office in Pinamalayan, Oriental, Mindoro, a district branch in Labo, Camarines Norte, a district branch in Kataingan, Masbate, a district branch in La Carlota, Negros Occidental, a district office in Ibahay, Aklan, a district office in Liloan, province of Cebu, a district office in Alcoy, Cebu, a district office in Javier, Leyte, a district office in Lawang, Northern Samar, a district office in Manolo, Fortich, Bukidnon. I would like to acknowledge, I just mentioned Bukidnon, and of course, our ever Bukidnon advocate, majority leader, Mig Zubiri is now present.
Hi,
Welcome,
my dear.
sir.
Hi, my dear.
Okay.
How are you? And to
Well,
everyone.
hindi naman natin kakalimutan ng Bukidnon kahit na
Salamat
hindi
po.
ka napakita.
Salamat po.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our district office in Balingasag, Misamis Oriental, district office in Calamba, Misamis Occidental.
Recording in progress.
District office in Colomoloc, South Cotabato, district office in San Jose, Dinagat Island, district office in Guipos, Zamboanga del Sur, district office in Pagsanhan, Laguna, district office in General Trias, Cavite, district office in Enrique B. Magalona, Negros Occidental, and then converting LTO offices, the extension office in Mandaluyong City to a district office, converting the satellite office in 2nd District of Bohol to a district office, converting the LTO office in Iloilo City into a regular licensing center, converting the Mabalacat, Pampanga Extension Office to a regular LTO district office, converting the Tanay, Rizal Satellite into a regular LTO district office, converting the Sigma Capiz Extension Office into a regular LTO district office, converting the Pasig Iloilo Extension Office into a regular LTO district office, converting the Gimbal Iloilo Extension Office into a regular LTO Class D district office in Gimbal, Iloilo, and converting the Bacolod City Licensing Center into a regular licensing center to be known as the Negros Occidental Licensing Center, converting the Molave Zamboanga del Sur Extension Office into a regular LTO district office, converting the Initao Misamis Oriental Satellite Office into a regular LTO district office, converting the San Jose City Nueva Ecija Extension Office into a regular LTO district office, converting the LTFRB offices, establishing an extension office in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, establishing a regular district office in Bacoor, Cavite, and then Dasmariñas, Cavite. We also have the MARINA offices, and I shall read it already to get it out of the way. We have creating an extension office in Vigan City, Ilocos Sur. This is for the MARINA office. Converting the satellite office in Calbayog City, Samar, into an extension office. Converting the satellite office in Maasin City, Southern Leyte, into an extension office. Okay, that's quite a mouthful of different offices. So before, we're not going to ask each representative for those that I've mentioned to speak today, but I need to ask the LTO and also the DOTR. Number one, LTO. just for the record, explain to us the different functions of the types of offices that you have. Meron kayong satellite, may district, may licensing office, may kung ano-anong office. What are the different functions of each and the limitations, if there are? Number one. Number two, from the LTO, also let me know from those offices and those conversions that I've read, are you in agreement that there's really a need to expand in those provinces? And cite us a few examples, not all, because we will read the position paper for each again extensively after this. And then after that, for the LTO, if you recommend that, then we can move forward and just approve this on committee level. Now, for the DOTR, I would like to hear from you also the need to justify why we need these MARINA offices and what additional services it can provide. Okay, so let's begin with the LTO. Is it Asek Galvante who will speak in behalf of the LTO?
Yes, Your Honor, Madam Chair. Good afternoon.
O sige, Asek Galvante, yung mga tanong ko po, the different offices, explain to me the functions of each and why you are recommending, if ever, the approval for these expansions.
Yes, Your Honor, Madam Chair. For example, the Extension Office functions also as the Office for Licensing and Registration. However, this is an Extension Office. It gets its support from what is already in the budget of LTO. However, this cannot be sustained considering that because of the expanded services needed, we are requesting that these extension offices be converted into regular district offices where additional people and additional resources can be allocated so that expanded services can also be provided, Your Honor. And generally, all the named offices to be converted into regular district offices or the creation of district offices is earnestly being pushed through so that, again, we can expand the services needed for all the clients of LTO to be served well. So it is our goal to bring the services closer to where they are needed, except for two particular offices being recommended for creation. One is the one in Ilocos Sur, considering that by upgrading the existing office into a at least type B district office, the services needed for the nearby town of Bantay can already be served. So rather than creating another office, which is very near an existing one, we would rather recommend that the existing one be expanded so that its capacity can also include already servicing the needed requirement for the nearby town of Bantay. So, Madam Chair, members of the committee, we are earnestly requesting that all the named extension offices be converted into regular district offices, and those offices which are to be created, we are also earnestly requesting that this be allowed and permitted so that we can expand the services that LTO can provide to the general public, Your Honor.
Asek Galvante, you mentioned Ilocos Sur as an exemption. You said that perhaps just expand the office.
Yes, Madam Chair, because the existing office in San Ildefonso needs only to be converted probably into at least a type B, requiring the increase in personnel to 21 instead of type D, which has only 8 personnel, Your Honor.
Okay,
And
you also mentioned, aside from Ilocos Sur, there's one more. You said,
Bantay, Your Honor.
ano, no?
Bantay, Ilocos Sur.
So dalawa. Wait a minute. So Ilocos Sur, dalawa?
Yun pong Bantay at saka San Ildefonso ay magkalapit lang po.
So yung sinasabi mo, hindi na kailangan ng additional office, do you expand lang? Expand lang
Yes,
the number of personnel.
And yes, Your Honor.
Okay, can we hear from the representative of Ilocos Sur? Meron ba dito from Bantay?
Your Honor, we have, if I may, we have the Regional Director of Region 1. Staff office niya po yung Ilocos Sur. So
Okay.
probably,
Okay, may we ask the Regional Director of Region 1 to speak and give his comments with regards to the recommendation of ASEC Galvante that you don't need an additional office, just a conversion and the expansion of number of personnel?
Good afternoon, Your Honors. Yes, I would confirm the recommendation first, Your Honor. The existing San Ildefonso office can adequately serve the first district of Ilocos Sur, and the proposed site is just 2 towns away from the current location, Your Honors. What is best, Your Honor, is and for an effective public service is merely to increase the number of personnel to effectively address the number of transactions in the said district office, Your Honor.
Okay, so meaning that the office in Bantay, Ilocos Sur will now be what? A regional, what is it going to be upgraded to so you can increase the number of employees?
Your Honor, it's the San Ildefonso Ilocos Sur District Office, Your Honor, which is a Class D district office, be upgraded to at least a Class B district office, Your Honor.
So district office pa rin.
District office pa rin po. I-upgrade lang po, Your Honor.
Okay, so please submit your position paper just to be sure that we include that in the committee report when we present this to the body. Now, my question now, the LTO, lahat itong mga pinapa-expand natin, no? Will we be able to sustain this with the budget that is normally allocated to the DOTR? Kasi doon manggagaling yan, di ba? Sa DOTR, di ba? Yung budget na yan?
Your Honor, if I may clarify,
Yes.
yung extension offices, Your Honor, yung pong nagsusustain dyan, yung pong budget na binibigay sa presently budget ng LTO provided. However, we are requesting for the conversion of this into district office so that we will be authorized to expand the number of personnel that will man the offices and be allocated additional budget for this. Because with the present budget of LTO, Your Honor, this cannot be sustained.
Okay, now I understand there's always a monetary consideration, but when we expand it to, let's say, more employees and you can service more clients and more of our countrymen, don't they pay fees to the LTO?
I'm
For the
sorry, Your Honor.
services that you provide, may fees, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that those fees collected go back to the National Treasury anyway, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
So when we consider the budget of the DOTR, for example, doon kayo, di ba, sa ilalim kayo yung DOTR, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, so kung meron kaming X amount na budget for the DOTR, we're also going to look at the amount remitted by the DOTR to the National Treasury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, because I mean, it seems common sense na the more offices you have, the more of our countrymen can avail of the services, the more fees are paid. I mean, equitable, justifiable fees, not overcharging them. It will eventually be paying for itself. Siguro the initial setup of adding employees, yun yung mahihinga ng budget. But alam naman natin na a portion of the budget allocated to the DOTR is unliquidated. So there's always room, di ba? Am I correct? There's room to expand our LTO services because hindi naman na gagamit lahat ng pera di ba?
I can only talk about the budget of LTO, Your Honor. Particularly, for the purpose of serving the needs of the client. Sa nakikita po natin, talagang dumadami po ang kliyente ng existing district offices halimbawa na hinihingi namin pa-expand din because hindi po namin ma-provide yung lahat ng serbisyo na kailangan because of the expansion. So that we are requesting that the additional capacity be given to LTO so that yung pong projection ng pagdami ng populasyon, pagdami ng kliyente, ay matutugunan po. And
Okay. No,
yes, Your Honor.
I understand the rationale behind this. So, my next, any of my fellow senators have additional questions because after this I will go to the DOTR.
Yes.
Senator Drilon is recognized.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. ASEC Galvante, I count here about 38 LTO offices. Is that accurate? 38 for conversion and creation? I'm just counting the bill number.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry sa record ko po around 36 lang po.
36, whatever is the number. All right. 36. How many are for creation? How many are for conversion into conversion to what?
I can provide the answer, Your Honor, maybe a little later, but there is stated in the request what is to be converted from a extension office to a district office and what is to be put up as a district office since there are no extension or district office existing in those localities, Your Honor, which is quite far from the existing LTO offices. But I can provide the number, Your Honor.
All right. We can provide a number later, but may I know the number of new personnel that will be hired as a result of these conversions or creations? The additional personnel, and how many percent? What is the how many percent is that in relation to the present manpower complement?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, in its creation of an office, yung na-classify po namin kung anong type so that in the classification, nakalagay po kung halimbawa kung type A yung classification, this would need at least 30 personnel and we have the different kumbaga ranks or titles ng bawat personnel to be assigned. For Class B, 21 personnel. For Class C, 14, and for Class D is 8. So again, Mr. Chairman, Your Honor, Madam Chair, Your Honor, can I just provide this a little later kasi hindi po namin kakag-list firstly.
Yes.
But we can provide the information, Madam Chair.
ASEC Galvante, I'm interested in that because from what I see, this is basically when you create, when you increase, it is manpower changes. So I would like to know by how many people will we increase these 36 offices in total? What is the budget presently and how much will be the budget? And number three, if it is not included in the budget, what happens? It will just be, what are the positions, to my understanding, must be created by the DBM.
Madam Chair, if the bill is passed into law, it's stated there how much in terms of resources and manpower is needed, and we make the request based on the law to the DBM for the creation of the position. So in turn, if the DBM approves this, they issue what we term as NOSCA, and stated there, yung authority po namin na mag-recruit ng additional personnel. But again, we will submit your, Madam Chair, yung corresponding crew ika nga ng bawat hinihingi naming creation ng mga district offices.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes. In other words, unless the DBM provides for the budget, this will just remain as an authorization, even if we pass the law.
Madam Chair, yun lang po ang authority na hinihingi ng DBM so that yung pong mga create na offices, maaari pong nadidelay ng konti pero eventually na-issue po yung NOSCA at na-activate po namin yung mga district offices na na-create by law.
Would the DBM have authority to create positions, let's say to convert whatever from an office, from an extension office to a regular office? I don't know what the classification are. But would the DBM have the authority even without the law being passed?
Madam Chair, sa practice po, hinahanap ng DBM yung authority ng pag-create ng office. Kung meron po kaming create na position na meron ng batayan, pumapayag lang po ang DBM kung yung tinatawag na scrap and build. Ibig sabihin, kung may available na, kung may hinihingi kaming mga position o tao, yung mga existing position na hindi masyadong kailangan, yun po ang parang binabago, tinatanggal para ma-create yung higher position. For example, lalo po kung kailangan yung mag-hepe nung isang na-create na district office na hindi available yung rango, maaari pong hingin namin o request namin yung creation ng position na mas mataas, kaya lang hinihingi ng DBM is mag-collapse kami ng mga lesser position na hindi priority position, Your Honor.
Yeah. Because, excuse me, Sec Galvante, Madam Chair, but my impression is that this is basically dictated and influenced by by the desire of the local officials to create positions and to create jobs for their constituents. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is the reality is the government is the biggest employment agency, but we must have some rationality in it. As I said, I would repeat, matagal na ako dito sa Kongreso. Alam ko po na ito'y mga pangailangan ng ating local government officials. Hindi po ba totoo yun? In other words, it is not necessarily dictated by public service, but by the need to provide opportunities for employment to our local constituencies.
Madam Chair, Your Honors, in our really earnest effort to provide the services needed or demanded, hinihingi po namin yung karagdagang tao dahil hindi po maibigay yung needed services with the present trend. We'd like to assure Madam Chair, Your Honors, that we will see to it that whatever is created, it will really serve the purpose of its creation, Your Honor. We will try our very best, Your Honor, na wala pong masasayang na, kumbaga, taong position na create pero wala pong silbi. We'd like to assure you of that, Your Honor.
Okay. Yes. Now, I guess I'm asking those questions because the number of offices, the number of LTO offices exponentially would expand because of increased need of the increasing population, etc., etc. I guess my question is there any effort to automate our operations so that at least the bureaucracy will not continuously expand? Alam naman natin na already, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 33 or more % of our national budget is devoted to personnel services. In other words, imbis na proyekto na pupunta sa sahod, wala namang masama doon dahil mataas ang unemployment natin. Ngunit siguro in the scheme of things, we should be conscious that we must have some policy and some rule on how big we should expand the bureaucracy. And here, I see, you haven't given me yet, and I will not. You have not. By how many people will we hire again because of this? And okay, ASEC, tell me how many will this entail? How much budget will this entail? Last year, ilang LTO offices ang ating binuo? How much additional expense did we incur? How many more people did we have to hire? I want to show by the data that you give to the committee, that there is no, it just expands and expands, and there is no effort probably to limit our bureaucracy so that we can devote more of our meager funds to other projects and activities which can bring more benefits to our people. That is my whole point, and it is in that regard that I would like to receive from the resource persons, Madam President, Madam Chair, the data in 2020, 2019, insofar as the number of offices we created or expanded or upgraded, the number of people that we hired because of that, and the increase in the PS as a result of this exercise, so that we can look at it from an overall perspective. And the fourth issue that I would like ASEC Galvante to address is the matter of automation. We cannot just keep on expanding the bureaucracy, because we will keep on getting bigger as a nation in terms of population, but we should have measures which will rationalize the growth of our bureaucracy as a result of these increases in population. So if I can have that, Madam Chair, I would use that only to spread into the record these facts and figures when these offices or these bills will be submitted for the consideration of the plenary. So that, and maybe that can be included in the committee report if it can be, but otherwise I will use it and spread it into the record when the time comes, so that we do not delay the hearing this afternoon. Thank you, Madam.
Yes. Those are very good points, and I think the minority leader for that certainly would like to have an idea as to the number of employment that might be generated here, and if we will actually be able to sustain that. Number two, I think that LTO, I know this is not exactly in reference to our bill, but please submit to us your automation efforts, because even if there are certain LTO offices that are difficult to reach because of the number of kilometers, how far it is, at least if they can do certain applications online and it can be mailed to them, that might ease also the burden of having to physically be present in an LTO office. So I would like to see your automation program, ASEC Galvante, aside from the number of employees, etc., being requested by our minority leader. With that, we will now go to the to DOTR. Who is the representative of the DOTR? To your comments about the additional MARINA offices. Sino ba yung DOTR dito?
Madam Chair, good afternoon from the Maritime District Authority.
You are from where?
From Marina, Madam Chair, good afternoon.
Okay,
Meeting, Madam Chair, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. So go ahead and explain to us why you need those additional offices. But we need also we need to know directly from the DOTR if they support this. Kasi basically, nasa ilalim kayo ng DOTR, baka kayo lang yung nagtatanong, walang pag-aaral dyan. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon to the members of this honorable committee. The Maritime Industry Authority welcomes the passage of House Bill number 94 and House Bill number 606, as these bills seek to convert the satellite offices of Marina in Calbayog City and Maasin City into extension offices, and House Bill 4,700, which seeks to create an extension office in Vigan City. Should these bills be passed into laws, Marina will be able to further execute its mandate effectively, as its offices will be more accessible to communities in the coastline areas, which equally need its services as well as those in the big cities. These extension offices will serve as our processing centers for the issuance of certification for seafarers, and also the issuance of seafarers identification document, which is commonly called as Seaman's Book. These extension offices will also cater for the registration, licensing, and issuance of safety certificates of ships, including those small watercraft and fishing boats, among others. These are the major services that will be performed by the proposed extension offices of Marina. And currently, the services cannot be performed solely by our regional offices. And although we already have an internal arrangement of putting up satellite offices, but these satellite offices work on the budget coming from the regular budget of the our maritime regional offices. And since Marina's creation from 1974, the size and the number of its stakeholders, both local and international, has exponentially grown. But the size of the agency, so the organizational structure and people, remained after almost 5 decades from its creation. This development is a single yet significant step in capacitating Marina in bringing safety of maritime transport to the nooks and crannies of archipelago as mandated by its charter. And so we thank this body for timely discussing this bill, because this is really needed by Marina so that its services can be brought closer to the stakeholders of the Maritime Industry Authority. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, one question. How many offices, Marina offices, have been established since your creation?
Currently, Madam Chair, there are 13 maritime regional offices all over the country, Madam Chair.
And when was the last time an additional office was created?
Madam Chair, to be candid, none. There's no. There was no offices, no office or offices created so far as Marina is concerned. But the Marina internally created satellite offices so that we can cater to those far-flung areas in the regional offices, Madam Chair.
Okay, I mean, in principle, I support this. I think that we're, first of all, we have a lot of seafarers that will benefit from this, and also we are basically a large coastline country. We need to be able to improve our services in the sector. However, I will wait for the position of the DOTR with regards to this, kasi dapat sila ito, di ba, wala silang representative to actually support. I think the DOTR just sent an observer, but I will ask for their position paper as we put together our committee report. Okay, so thank you again for your presentation, sir. We will now move. So for now, all of those LTO offices and also the Marina offices will be reviewed pending the submissions that we have requested our resource persons as well as the departments that are responsible for the LTO and the Marina that is responsible. Okay, so the next topic will be for our franchises. Maybe we can have, okay, so the franchises that are For the broadcast franchise, we have Franciscan Broadcasting Corporation, Sulu Tawi-Tawi Broadcasting, Soundstream Broadcasting Corporation. May I ask if the representatives of those three are present here today?
Your Honor, Franciscan Broadcasting Corporation.
Okay, is this a renewal or is this a new franchise?
Renewal, Your Honor.
So how long have you been in operation?
As a franchise, this is our second renewal application, Your Honor, since it
So
is
50 years?
Yes.
50 years. And what is your area of your license area? Is it national? I'm sorry?
No, the scope is national, Your Honor, when we started it off. And
So you've had
but we are locally operating in Dumaguete, in Negros Oriental, and neighboring provinces.
Okay, so for Franciscan Broadcasting Corporation, I would like to get you know what? I just want to get the submissions from the BIR and the SEC and also the NTC, and if there are any pending concerns with regards to that, and then on that basis, we will be able to evaluate. So next will be Sulu.
Madam Chair, just a general question and a general concern. I recall that in the last batch of franchises, there was a provision which says that majority must be regular employees and not contractual, etc., etc. And we noticed this, and we had moved to amend this by removing this undue limitation on the flexibility of the franchise holder. And second, it could give rise to petitions for the cancellation of a franchise if this is not complied with, and I believe it is not necessary. My question is in any of these franchise bills, would such a provision again be incorporated?
To our minority leader, we note of those concerns and the suggestion, and we accepted that in our last deliberation. So this time, we will not include that in the committee report as a provision to any of these franchises.
So the bills that we are now considering would in fact include this limitation?
No. We are not going to include them anymore. Even if there's one version from the House, we will abide by the Senate version, which was already accepted by the House, to remove those limiting provisions.
Thank you very much. I'm just putting that on record. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so we have Franciscan Broadcasting Corporation. Next, Sulu Tawi-Tawi Broadcasting. Are you present? Sulu Broadcasting. I saw you a while ago. Okay, let's move on. Soundstream Broadcasting.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Soundstream, is this a renewal or a new franchise?
This is a renewal, Your Honor.
How long have you had your franchise?
For almost 25 years, Your Honor. So,
and where are you broadcasting from?
In Isabela, Your Honor.
And you have a radio station or a television channel?
Yes, Your Honor.
You do?
Yes, Your Honor. An existing radio station in Isabela.
Okay. What we're going to do in the interest of expediency also, and to be sure that we have all of these information, we are going to again ask the LTO, the BIR, the SEC to submit any information with regards to your company. So that's it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is not a promise of an approval to those of you who are still asking for those submissions.
Yes,
okay. So,
Your Honor,
yes.
I think Senator Dillon is raising his hand.
A question in general, or for this particular franchise and the other franchises, is the applicant, are the stockholders of the applicant the original stockholders when we granted the franchise? In other words, have they been transfers of the controlling shares, if they are corporations, of the controlling share of the franchise since we granted the original franchise up to this point of the renewal?
Your Honor, this particular franchise, Your Honor, is still controlled by the Hoxton family, Your Honor, the original grantees.
So there is no change in control.
No, Your Honor.
Is there any of the franchises being considered now, ma'am, that would have change in ownership since the last time it was granted a franchise?
Those up for renewal, I'm not familiar yet if any of them have changed ownership. That's a good point to make, and we will ask that information also from them.
Well, anyway, as we go along, ma'am, insofar as those renewals are concerned, we will ask this question for the record.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And then I think next we will have the telco franchises. We have Panay Telephone Corporation. Are you present?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Yes po, present po.
How long is this, a renewal or is this a new franchise?
Renewal, Madam Chair po.
And can you tell us what your services, what service have you provided in the last how many years? 25?
Almost 24 years po, Your Honor.
Okay, so
we are...
yes.
Opo.
Go ahead.
Sir, sorry po. We are providing telephone service to residential and commercial, and also internet service po to residential and commercials po, Your Honor.
Okay, matanong, kayo po ba si Mr. Sason?
Yes po, Your Honor.
So Mr. Sason, are you also the owner of Panay Telephone?
Yes po, president po ng corporation po, Your Honor.
Okay, so do you have, where are you in operation? Just what areas in particular? Just the Panay area?
Yes po, ma'am. Our service area po, Your Honor, is province of Aklan and part of Antique po, including Boracay Island po.
So kayo lang ba ang telco company doon, or you're also, or are there also other telco companies operating there?
Yes po, Your Honor, we have a competitor din po, yung Cross Telco. Recently po, may pumasok na rin po na Globe Telecom and PLDT po.
Okay, so there's a healthy competition in those areas.
Yes po.
Okay, so Mr. Sason, thank you for your presence here today. We will ask again those SEC, the BIR, the NTC to submit your profile, and then we can determine your qualification.
Thank you po, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. RCU Law Telephone System Incorporated, are you present?
Your Honor.
Is that you?
Yes.
What's your name?
My name is Janina. I am
Last
representing Yulo. I'm representing my father, Renato Yulo.
Okay. Are you applying for a renewal or a new franchise?
For a renewal.
Okay. What area are you operating in?
We are in the province of Negros Occidental, primarily in the municipalities of Hinigaran, Pontevedra, Murcia, Himamaylan, Binalbagan, and Isabela.
Isabela?
Yes.
So
in
all the way
Negros,
in Luzon?
okay. Negros Occidental.
Okay. So how long have you been in operation?
We have been in operation since Well, originally we were just a sole proprietorship, so 1978. But then we were incorporated in 1997, and then we got our franchise on that year as well.
Okay, so how many clients are you working with? How many subscribers do you have?
About 1,000.
Okay, we will ask for your profile from those agencies that I've mentioned, and we will use that as a basis for your approval. Thank you, Ms. Yulo. Okay,
Thank you
next, Mati Telephone Corporation. Are you present? Mati? Okay, let's go first to independent
Yes, ma'am.
telephones.
Hello?
Uh,
Yes, ma'am. Present.
Okay, so Mati, please, is this a renewal?
Yes,
Or are
ma'am.
you-
Renewal, ma'am.
It's a renewal, but have the ownerships
Renewal, yes, ma'am.
changed? Ay, yung mga may-ari niyan, pareho
No.
pa rin? No?
Yes, ma'am. Pareho pa rin.
Pareho pa
Pareho
rin?
po. Yung before we started it single proprietorship with my father. And then since lumaki na, he changed it into a corporation na kami magkakapatid. Wala na ang
Okay.
papa ko eh. Oo.
Oh, okay po. Sorry to hear that. Ilan po yung Ilan po yung kliyente nyo? Ilan yung
Sa ngayon po,
subscribers?
ma'am, medyo lumiit na kasi maraming competitors and maraming nagpaputol because of this COVID. Na lang, mga 600 plus na lang, ma'am.
But at least that 600 na nabibigyan nyo ng serbisyo.
Yes, ma'am.
So anyway, we will look into it again, ma'am. I will again ask those agencies the profile of your company na wala kayong pending na mga utang sa gobyerno.
Wala po, ma'am.
Wala kayong mga kaso. And
Wala
then
po, ma'am.
that will help us determine the qualification of your company. Thank you for your presence
ma'am.
here today.
Thank you very much mo.
Okay, next, Independent Telephone Company, Inc.
Good afternoon po, Madam Chairman. Si Larry Carino to, ang presidente ng Intelco.
Okay,
Independent Telephone Company.
sir, renewal ba ito o bago?
Tama po, renewal po to. Ang
Okay,
aming
so ano po yung areas ng coverage nyo?
kino-cover namin ay ang city ng Binyan, Laguna. Only.
Only. Pero ang hinihingi ninyong franchise national?
Ay, hindi po, para lang sa Binyan area.
Okay. Ilan po yung kliyente ninyo sa Binyan?
More or less 5,000 po.
Okay yun very good. At least we're encouraging. Opo. Meron namang mga ibang phone companies din dyan sa Binyan, di ba?
Ay, marami pong pumasok na bago. Magmula nung nauso po yung internet lalo na. Pumasok po dito ang PLDT, Globe, Convert.
Paano? Kumikita pa rin ba kayo o lugi na?
Very lang po. Importante po, maswerdohan po namin ang lahat ng mga empleyado namin na lahat ay taga-Binyan.
Okay po.
Ang Intelco, ang may-ari po ng Intelco, puros po mga taga-Binyan na mga family at mga small stockholders na puros taga-Binyan din po.
We encourage that. Although it's not a requirement, we are happy to hear that members of the community have a stake in ownership in their telecom.
We have been operating since 1946, ma'am eh. Yung pong ginagamit namin po, pero di pa po tayo tao nun eh. Ang ginagamit po ay yung sa military telepono.
Yung satellite, para satellite phone?
Hindi po yung gamit ng World War II telepono. Meron po sabi niya na enterprise, hiningi niya yung mga iniwan ng Amerikano mga field telephone ng mga sundalo na pinipihit, tapos may pinipress.
Oo, pinipihit.
Yun. Pinipress pa para makapagsalita. So yung first 50 subscriber at that time no 1946, pagka pinihit mo yun, titimbi sa lahat
Kaya ang bawat isang subscriber sa kwento ng aking mga ninuno, meron pong silang designated na PHET na, let's say, isang mahaba, dalawang maikse, bago isang mahaba. Ibig sabihin, ikaw ang tinatawagan.
Parang Morse code na dating, no?
Tama, ma'am. Tama, ma'am.
Oh, well, pero ngayon hindi na gano'n, di ba?
Ay, hindi na. May internet na ngayon, special. Oh, hindi.
Sige, well, Mr. Carino, I really love that story behind independent telephone company. And of course,
na kami hanggang ngayon in operation, in spite na dumating itong mga big players sa amin. Ang huling pumasok po dito earlier was PTNT at saka Digitel. Eventually, nawala sila sa amin at kami pa rin na naging dominant. Pero
congratulations.
Ay, salamat, ma'am. Pero
sige.
PLDT, Converge, Globe, even na talaga dito. Pero yung mga old-timers po dito, lalo na yung mga lolo na nasa abroad o mga nasa abroad, mas prepare nila yung actual phone call instead of yung mga millennial na ngayon na ginagamit na yung mga email na or yung
cellphone.
Ang landline, buhay pa rin sa amin po.
Okay. Sige po, masayang kwentuhan ito. Pero marami pa po tayong kailangan talakayan. Maraming salamat, Mr. Carino. To-check na lang natin yung mga iba. I think Minority Leader has a question.
Tanong lang po, doon po sa Binyan, ano po, internet connection ba ang inyong negosyo? O cable?
Telepono namin internet.
Internet?
Opo.
Internet connection.
Opo. Kaya ang lahat naman ngayon internet na ang hawak Kaya meron kami internet din.
So wala kayong landline operation?
Meron kami landline kasi para pag-operate yung internet, you need landline
You need, tama. Oh. So you have landline operation. But ilan ang subscribers niyo sa landline?
5,000, more or less.
5,000? Oh, okay, 5,000. And you're limited to Binyan?
Binyan only.
Yung inyong franchise is just for Binyan?
Only for Binyan. And we are applying for renewal.
Okay. Ngayon,
kasi ang una pong franchise nasa ko na aking kasi na si Francisco Almeida.
Kayo po ba ang original controlling stockholder?
Hindi po. Ang nag-upisa po ito ng mga sinaunang pamilya sa Binyan. Eventually, may pumasok na bagong mga anak nila, nagdagdag ng konting puhunan. Tapos may dumating na naman pong mga apo na ngayon nakisali na rin po. Ako po third generation na isa sa mga shareholders na pinagbulan ng aming ninuno. Panay Taga-Binyan po ang may-ari nito.
Ano po?
Panay Taga-Binyan ang may-ari.
Well, I will not go into this point insofar as independent telephone company, Madam Chair. This is just for Binyan, but the reason I'm raising these questions is because of the experience of the chamber, wherein we are confronted with situations where from the original stockholder there were transfers and transfers of the franchise or the controlling interest in the franchise holder, and they do not even care to seek the approval of Congress, contrary to the provisions of the franchise, which expressly provides as a standard clause that transfers in control of the franchise holder should require a consent of Congress. But I am not raising that issue here. The independent telephone company, this is, some where I assume some shares were transferred by virtue of inheritance, etc. So, as I said, we will not, but as a matter of, I think we should include in the questions that will be raised to the renewal, to the companies that are seeking renewal, is a standard question. Are you the original stockholder? If you are not, how did you become a stockholder? Are you now in control? And did you secure the prior consent of Congress? So that is my intervention, Madam Chair. I am submitting that to the committee for its consideration.
Thank you, Senator Dulon. In fact, those are the questions we can ask also the SEC from the time, let's say, they're seeking their renewal. Will the ownership still be the same? So that would be part of the submissions that we will request from the SEC. Otherwise, it's not a renewal, but rather a new franchise that they will have to apply for. Okay, next.
Thank you, ma'am.
Haba nito. Okay, Odyongan Telephone Corporation. Are you present?
Yes, Madam Chair. Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon po. Bilisan na lang natin. Saan po ang area ninyo?
Romblon po, Odyongan Romblon po.
Okay, yung hinihingi po ninyong prangkisa, renewal po ba o bago?
Renewal po. 2000
Okay.
po ng first franchise. So that's 21 years ago. Nag-organize po kami ng telecommunication at fax mail services dito sa bayan para umunlad po yung bayan namin.
Okay, ilan po yung subscribers niyo?
Sa ngayon po, 560 lang naiiwan. Nung ma-introduce namin, yung makumbida namin yung mga wireless services dito. But before, umabot po kami ng 1,300.
Okay, anyway, ilan po yung empleyado nyo?
Meron po kaming ngayong 11.
Okay, isa na lang po, yung concern po ni Senator Drilon, nagpalit po ba yung mga may-ari nito magmula nung nag-umpisa? Ay, hindi naman magmula, pero dito sa prangkisa na i-apply nyo, pareho pa rin ba yung mga may-ari?
Yung iba po, nag-alisa na kasi nga po, nung mag-introduce din kami ng wireless cellphone dito, hindi na kumikita ang company, so iba na.
Hindi, pero yung controlling shares, yun lang naman yung controlling, pareho pa bang?
Opo.
Basta, sige. So, gano'n na lang po. Alam mo naman, suportado namin yung mga maliliit na kumpanya dahil nga kahit na mangilan-ngilan ng empleyado, meron pa rin. Basta hihingin lang natin na kayo ay tumatalima dun sa mga requirements sa batas. So, hintayin namin yung submission ng SEC, ng BIR, ng NTC. Sige po, maraming salamat po, sir.
Maraming salamat po, Madam Chair.
Yung susunod po, Iriga Telephone Company. Iriga? Present?
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairman.
Are you Attorney Felipe Gerardo?
Yes, yes, ma'am, I am.
Felipe Gerardo Ortega. Okay, how can you describe to me your company briefly? Saan ang operations niyo? Is this a renewal or a new franchise?
Ma'am, this is a renewal. Our areas of operation consist of the 5th Congressional District of Camarines Sur, the city of Iriga, and the neighboring towns of Baao, Nabua, Buhi, and Bato. And ma'am,
okay. Yes.
With your permission, ma'am, may I react to the observation of the Honorable Senator Drilon?
Yes, go ahead, please.
The Honorable Chairman, the Honorable Senator Drilon, the applicants for today's telephone franchises, 8 of us are members of the Philippine Association of Private Telephone Companies. This was incorporated sometime in the 1970s, and the operators of these telephone companies now, the 8 listed, are still the same as originally incorporated. As mentioned by Independent Tel, they are the 3rd generation. I am the 2nd generation. So actually, Senator Drilon, sir, our small companies had been operating more or less among family members. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So the franchise that you are renewing will only be for those areas you mentioned.
Actually, ma'am, our original franchise was for the province of Camarines Sur. But presently, we are only operating in the 5th Congressional District.
Okay, sir. I guess that's it. You've heard the routine. We're going to ask for information in regards to your franchise. And we thank you for your presence here today. We will inform you if we have additional questions.
We also thank the Honorable Chairman and members of the Honorable Committee. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Next, Sultan Kudarat Telephone System. Are you present? Okay. Go ahead po. Renewal po ba ito o bagong franchise? Hindi po namin kayo marinig, yung mic po ninyo naka-off.
Maribel?
Ayan.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, Senator. Yes po, this is a renewal of the franchise.
Okay. How many years have you had your franchise?
The franchise was approved to us last 1998. So from now, 23 years na, ma'am. We're
Okay
operating.
po. How many subscribers do you have in what areas?
At present, the total is 2,600. We are operating in Tacurong City, Isulan, Esperanza, Labac, and Calamansig, all in Sultan Kudarat Province po.
Okay. Pareho pa rin po ba yung may-ari o nag-iba na ito? Nabenta na o paano?
Same po. This is a family corporation. Yung alam po, upon the demise of my father last 2013, na-move yung mom ko as a chairwoman po.
But it's still the
Everything-
same company eh. Iba lang yung mga... okay.
Correct.
We will again, as you've heard, thank you for your presence here. We will review your application based on the submissions also of the other government agency and their evaluations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Okay, next, this is the last one for the telephone. Marbel Telephone System Incorporated. Are you present?
Yes, Your Honor. Present po.
Is this a renewal or a new franchise?
We are, actually, this is our second renewal for the franchise po. And the company is operating for 56 years already and still controlled by the same family. Third generation na rin po ako.
Oh,
And,
good. Ilan taon ka na?
Ngayon po, 37.
Oh, okay.
Then we're serving more or less 5,000 subscribers with landline and internet service. And currently, continuously...
What area?
In South Cotabato, provinces of South Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, Jensan, and Sarangani.
Very good. So the franchise that you're asking for is for those areas?
Yes po.
Hindi national?
Hindi po.
Okay. Well, thank you. It's good to know that the younger generations really taking interest in the family business, and I wish you success. But we will wait for the submissions of the other companies, other government agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess that's it for those franchises. I'm not saying that you've been approved, but it's very promising. Tapos na ba yung Sulu Tawi-Tawi o hindi nakasama?
Nag-brown out.
Nag-brown out. Nandiyan na kayo? Nandiyan na ba?
Pwede pong magsalita?
Oo, nakita kita kanina eh. Bigla, ko, nawala. Ayun. O, sige. So sir, balik tayo sa broadcasting. Renewal po ba yung sa inyo o bago?
Opo, Madam Chair, renewal po. Second renewal po.
So bali mag-50 years na kayo?
25, tapos na po yung 25. Bali po,
second, papunta. Okay, so ilan po yung subscribers niyo?
Sa radio po kami, Madam Chair.
Radio. Okay, radio.
Amen. Tapos may TV broadcast po, pero nagpipid lang po kami sa Sulu and Tawi-Tawi provinces po, Madam Chair.
Yun lang ang hinihingi ninyong franchise.
Opo, renewal po ng
Doon sa area
franchise.
lang ninyo, hindi national.
Hindi po, Madam Chair. Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi provinces lang po.
Okay. Habang nandito pa, kung pareho lang po may-ari yung kumpanya, hindi nag-iba yung kumpanya. Sir, nag-iba ba yung may-ari ng kumpanya ninyo? Nako. Okay, anyway, we'll wait for the submissions of the government agencies involved. Maybe we can ask the KBP before we exit the broadcast franchise since we went back to it. Do they have any comments? Maybe Mr. Basbaños present. Baka you have anything to add to Franciscan, Sulu Tawi-Tawi, and Soundstream Broadcasting? Do you support their renewal? Anyway, we will wait for that from the... okay.
Good afternoon po, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to all the members of the committee. We fully support the application, Madam Chair, of the 3 broadcast networks, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Basbaño, for the recommendation.
They're members of good standing, Madam Chair, of the kapisan na mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas po.
Okay, thank you. That certainly helps their application. All right.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon po, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, good afternoon po, ma'am. I'm Attorney Mary Grace Angan from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Your Honor, may we request all the applicants for the renewal or granting of the franchise if they may submit to the Securities and Exchange Commission the initial grant of their franchise for comparison purposes, Your Honor.
To submit what?
Initial grant of their franchise, Your Honor.
Initial grant. Okay, that's a good point. Thank
Comparison,
you.
Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney Angan. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
As Senator Jolon is recognized.
Yes, for the SEC, I know for a fact that you do automatic cancellation of the license of a corporation where they fail to submit GIS, other documents. Can you include in your certification that these franchise applicants or renewals are corporations of good standing? Because it is entirely possible that because they have not submitted your requirements sa SEC, baka na automatic termination of the corporate life. You do that, di ba, Attorney Angan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will be submitting all the documents in relation to the present or current standing of the applicant corporations in relation to their application for legislative branches.
Yes, we need that in the committee at least. I would need that just for the record that buhay pa itong mga korporasyon na ito. Baka bigla na lang nawalan ng corporate life dahilan po sa failure to submit the needed documents to the SEC. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Senator Jolon. Okay, now we will move forward to the Lanao del Norte Electric Cooperative and then the Bicol Light and Power Corporation. So let's go with Lanao del Norte seeking a power franchise. May we ask the President?
Madam Chair.
Our Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To Senator Drilon, good morning, good afternoon po, and to all our colleagues listening. Yeah, I'm here actually in full support of the Lanao Norte Electric Cooperative for the renewal of their franchise. That is actually the situation now with many of our electric cooperatives, Madam Chair. They will be needing to renew their franchise. They had been given an extension due to the passage of the IPIRA, but the extension was most of the electric cooperatives actually will only be around for another 8 to 10 years maximum because they were given permits by the NEA. That was the one-time permit allowed by IPIRA. And then now most of their electric cooperatives are up for renewal. And I'm happy, Madam Chair. To be honest, I'm happy that they are also going to Congress. They would never actually be applying to Congress in their previous uh, uh, previous regime. It would be NEA granting them the extension. So I'm here. I was with the manager, the GM of Llano del Norte Electric Cooperative in Bukidnon when they visited our electric cooperative there, and I gave my commitment, Madam Chair, to support the renewal of these electric cooperatives. Although we take note that there are many cooperatives that are not run very well, and that there are cooperatives that are also having difficulty surviving as a uh, electric distribution utility. But it's as chairman of your committee on cooperatives, it's always good to be able to support, see how we can aid these ailing co-ops. But for this particular cooperative, Madam Chair, I'm in full support of their renewal of their franchise. Maraming salamat po, Madam Chair, and thank you for the LTO hearings earlier. I wasn't around. I'm sorry. I had to do another Zoom meeting. I'm not sure if they were approved already, but if they were, yung maraming salamat po dahil meron din pong Manolo Fortich doon sa Bukidnon na application, if I'm not mistaken. So maraming salamat po, Madam Chair.
Okay, Majority Leader, are you aware of the feedback on the service of Llano del Norte Electric Cooperative? Okay ba yung serbisyo nila?
I've had no complaints. As a matter of fact, it's sponsored by, if I'm not mistaken, Congressman Khalid. The Demoporo sponsored this in the House. So, alam naman po natin, sensitive tayo sa wishes ng taong bayan. So, lalo na mga local politicians. Definitely, if it's not sponsored by the local representatives, we would hear it from Congressman Khalid and Congressman Bobby kung pangit yung serbisyo nila. But wala naman po tayong problema. I believe Congressman Khalid, the Dimaporos, congressman, both congressmen sponsored this measure. Is that correct, Madam Chair? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, I believe so. So I'll ask now Engineer Zamora. How many, kayo po yung representative, di ba, ng Lanao del Norte Electric?
May bigyan pa Madam Chair.
Kayo po ang representative dito ng Lanao del Norte. Okay. How many subscribers do you have? Clients, how many?
Actually, we have 125 households, 125,000.
125,000 households. Okay. What we are going to do now is we're just going to check your compliance with SEC and also the Department of Energy and all of the government agencies involved, and then that will be the basis of our renewal of your franchise, sir.
Yes, Madam Chair.
We need to ask from you, as requested by Attorney Angan of the SEC, the incorporation papers from the beginning of your the first franchise that was granted to you up until the present.
Madam Chair, actually we are in here registered, no? And I think there is no need for us to have that ACC. Registered franchise.
I'm sorry, hindi nyo kailangan ng SEC kasi?
NIA registered.
Oo
we
nga.
are under NIA.
Okay, no, that's fine. But I'm asking kung ano yung submissions na hinihingi sa inyo ng SEC. Attorney Angan, can you clarify again? What were you asking?
We would, Your Honor, we would like to request all the applicants to submit with the SEC the documents in relation to the initial grant of the franchise.
So ibig sabihin nung unang nakuha ninyo yung prangkisa ninyo, yung inyong registration sa SEC.
Recording.
Okay. Senator Zubiri.
Yeah, maybe to assist there's a recording. Maybe to assist in the discussion. The electric cooperatives, kasi Madam Chair, were all registered under NEA, not the SEC.
Okay.
They are cooperative siya. So they were all registered under NEA. And then, as a matter of fact, there was even a long discussion when I approved the cooperative code in 2008, because we had to distinguish the NEA cooperatives and the CDA cooperatives, the Cooperative Development Authority cooperatives. So under the law, we allowed the NEA grown cooperatives, these are all the electric cooperatives, to be under NEA. So they're actually, all their documentation is under NEA. So maybe what they could do, maybe the gentlemen and ladies of LANECO could actually submit the documents they submitted to NEA to the SEC for compliance, I think. But under the law, NEA registered po sila, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Very knowledgeable pagdating sa cooperatives and also franchises, our majority leader. Thank you for that. Okay, so...
Madam Chair.
Parang iba yata yung gupit ni Senator Gatchalian, hindi ko nakilala eh.
Madam Chair, I had to change my look because of the pandemic. And I don't look majority floor, so I had to cut my hair short.
Mukhang bagay naman, mukhang bagay. Okay, can you have any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, you asked earlier how's the performance of LANECO. I was looking at their classification and performance index. And based on the disclosure of NEA, seems to me that LANECO is performing well because they're a AAA in terms of performance, key performance index, that's the highest. And in terms of classifications, they're green, color green, so that's the highest also. You cannot go higher than those, Madam Chair. So,
thank you. That's good. That actually gives them almost what do you call this, 100% chance of getting their approval. So thank you for the clarification, Senator Gatchalian. I will ask you actually to comment in our next franchise deliberation, and this time it's for.
Madam Chair, if you allow, I just have a few questions to LANECO. Very quick questions.
No, go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
To the GM LANECO, I know this is a carve out, no? They'll be carving out some municipalities from LASURECO. And I was looking at the LASURECO financial statements. There is as we all know, LASURECO has a lot of debt, no? About 13 billion. So what is the treatment to those debt that will be left over to LASURECO? May I ask the GM of LANECO?
We have deliberated that before during the time that I was the provincial board member. According to our congressman, we will just resolve that one after resolving this franchise issue. Because 3 of the municipalities will be included. Madam Chair, no, for your information, the 3 municipalities which is under LASURECO now, or under the cater of LASURECO, will be transferred or will be returned to LANECO. Because that area is under the province of Lanao del Norte, but it is being served by LASURECO because perhaps before, because of the accessibility of the distribution line. But now we want that this will be transferred to LANECO, but there is the problem of the issue of deeds that is collectible from the member consumer of Balui, Bataragat, and Bantar. So until now, we have not yet resolved that one, but we will resolve that after the franchise approval.
GM, what my question is, will the 13 billion be proratedly allocated to LANECO? Kasi the 13 billion now includes the 3 municipalities since the 3 municipalities will be transferred to Laneco, will it be proratedly transferred also in terms of debt?
Hindi namin sama yung debt.
Iiwan nyo lahat sa Lasoreco.
Usapan muna namin yan dahil mahirap na yun kuliktihain. Mahirap na yun kulikta namin.
My point there is, if the 13 billion will be left over to Lasoreco, then the consumers of Lasoreco will now bear everything.
Yeah, that will be transferred also to Laneco.
No, the 13 billion will be transferred also to Laneco or will be left over to Lasoreco? Or it will be prorated? There are two options lang naman, prorated or left over to Lasoreco.
Actually, ang debt ng Lasoreco to the member consumer, pinag-usapan na namin yan noon and we have not resolved that problem. Dahil ayaw namin na take over yung debt sa Laneco. So, according to our Congressman, Bobby Di Mapuro and Congressman Khalid, we will just resolve that when there is already an approval of the franchise kung anuhin yung debt. Kami sa Laneco, ayaw namin take over yung debt dahil mahirap talaga kuliktahin yan.
Yes, correct. I understand that. But kung ganun po, yung matitira sa Lasoreco, lalaki yung kanilang babayaran ng utang per consumer. Correct?
Yan ang gusto nila.
Is that acceptable to Lasoreco? Mayroon na kayong agreement? Kasi mababawasan sila ng consumers eh.
Ano natin sa Lasoreco?
Mababawasan sila ng consumer. My point here, Lasoreco now will be saddled with more debt per consumer.
Yes, we will just ask Lasoreco because Lasoreco is also around.
May I ask the GM of Lasoreco what is the arrangement on that 13? The biggest elephant in the room is the 13 billion debt.
Yes po sir, good afternoon po sa inyong lahat. With regards po dyan sa namin sa debt, before nung sa committee, nung sa representative po sa Congress, binigay ko na po sa kanila yung lahat ng data. I opposes no objection sa pag-transfer ng 3 munisipyo from Lasoreco to Laneco. Hinigi ko po sa kanila, sana po yung mga distribution line namin within that area, mabayaran nila. At saka tama po kayo Sir Senator na paano po kung hindi mababayaran yung mga debts namin. So kami yung magiging magkakaroon ng problema kasi hindi namin ma-receive yun. So actually, nung sa Congress pa ito, na bigay ko na yung lahat ng figures, sabi nila mag-ano kami ng TWG para sa mag-assess sa lahat ng mga distribution line namin. So ngayon, yun lang po yung problema ko. Willing po kami, I will support Laneco for the renewal of franchise. So sana po mapag-usapan namin muna yung distribution line with that area. Kasi na-rehab po namin yun. Yun lang po. Sana po mabigyan kami ng pagkakataon na yung naka-install na distribution asset sa mga 3 municipality, mabayaran sa amin. At saka tama po kayo, paano po namin i-cater yung utang na 3 munisipyo. May iwan po sa Lasoreco. Thank you po.
Yeah, if kung may iwan yan sa inyo, lalaki ang babayaran per consumer. Kasi mababawasan kayo ng consumer.
Exactly po sir, kasi yung sinabi mo po na 13 billion, mayroon pong 253 million na receivable namin sa 3 munisipyo.
So my point is, how do you, anong agreement nyo? It should be agreed upon between you two. No? How do you treat that 13 billion?
Supposedly po, before, dapat po kasi nagka-pandemic, hindi na po kami nakapag-usap. Kasi the last time po na nag-usap kami dun sa Congress, sabi po nila, i-address po yung concern namin. So yun lang po yung problema ko ngayon, kung paano kung paano matransfer doon. Sana po mag-agree kami both sides regarding doon sa utang namin para hindi na po maiwan sa amin lahat.
Kasi kawawa naman yung consumers ng Lasureco. If I'm a consumer, i-absorb ko pati yung sa 3 municipalities.
Exactly, sir.
Lalaki yung bayarin ko. Hindi matatapos yun.
Opo.
May I suggest to the 2 GMs to submit to us a transition plan? Kasi in principle, I support the transfer, no? Because yung 3 municipalities
Within the
are
franchise area.
the franchise of Laneco. That's geographically, that's correct. However, in terms of liabilities, in terms of assets. Paano yung bibilin ba ng Laneco po yung linya ng Lasureco in those 3 municipalities? What is the arrangement on that?
Actually, sir, since the day one of this hearing, na may reservations na po ako sa asset at saka sa liability. So hanggang ngayon po, hindi pa po namin napag-usapan at hindi ko alam po paano namin mapag-usapan kasi na-invite lang po ako na nasa Senate na pala yung renewal ng itong bill na to.
But dapat mapag-usapan because baka makawawa yung Lasureco, walang makukuha na yung assets nyo, hindi kayo mababayaran, yung debt nyo lalaki pa.
Exactly po, I am appealing po for this committee na sana po Sir engineer, sana po within this week or next week mapag-usapan po natin to kasi kawawa talaga kami, sir. Ailing na po kami tapos kami pa yung shoulder ng burden talaga doon.
And another thing, GM Norhiana, kontrata nyo sa Gencos. You have existing contracts right now, di ba? So if you have existing contracts with the Gencos, with power plants, correct?
Sa ano po kami, direct po kami sa yung contract. Well, actually, sir, yung pag-assume namin sa Lasureco, wala pa po kaming contract.
Okay. Saan mo kayo bumibili ng kuryente?
Sa PISAM po kami. Sa PISAM yung may contract kami, hindi sa Genco. Dito. Wala pong contract. Embedded po kami.
Okay, so in other words, you can, if the 3 municipalities will be transferred, you can reduce your purchase of electricity right away.
Yes po, opo.
Nakatali.
Opo.
GM, ano ko lang, to the chair, may I request the 2 GMs to craft a transition plan. Because in principle, we support the transfer, but there are other details that we should be careful with. For example, the assets and the debt. And it seems to me that this is not so clear because we might end up with a scenario wherein Lanao del Sur will be saddled with a lot of debt and the sales through its consumers will be deducted. So in other words, what's left over with Lasureco, per consumer, they have to pay more in terms of debt. So ang request ko sa inyo is to sit down to come up with a transition plan.
Okay.
Okay ba yun, GM engineer?
Okay. We'll talk to Lasureco first. Then we will submit our transition plan.
You will do it anyways. You have to do it anyways. Because you cannot, even though the franchise will be approved, ERC will look for that transition plan. Because how will they evaluate your rates? Diba?
Okay.
Yeah, so submit to us, to the committee, ASAP, a transition plan to include the treatment of debt and the treatment of assets so that we will have full view of what will happen to Lasureco at the end of the transfer.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Actually, we thank our Energy Committee Chairman for bringing that to light because it's certainly a consideration because it might also burden the consumers that the debt might be passed on to. We're not saying that that their service is not good, except that their financial health is important. But syempre, meron namang full support yung majority leader. So we'll see. Majority
Madam
leaders
Chair.
recognized.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, Madam Chair, yung problema sa Lasureco, matagal na yan. Unfortunately, when I had a long discussion, alam po ni Senator Gatchalian, to our chairman of the Committee on Energy, yung Lasureco probably, well, you can't say that it's, I don't know how to term it, that's politically correct, but they went through difficult times, lalo na yung yung ating mga kababayan dun, nagka-problema sila dahil ayaw nila magbayad ng kuryente. Ayaw nila magbayad ng kuryente kasi sabi daw nila, yung Agus complex is theirs. Sabi daw nila, bakit kami magbabayad ng kuryente? Yung Agus atin yan. So ibig sabihin, libre kuryente namin dito. That's why kawawa yung mga officials ng Lasureco dahil yung electric cooperative pag naniningil, ayaw magbayad minsan yung tao, kaya tumaas ang utang nila. And I guess along the way, it was also run not very properly. Actually, it's sad that beside them, the Lanao Norte Electric Cooperative is run AAA, and then we have a problem like Lasureco, which has had many dozens of years of problems in terms of servicing their people and paying their debt. So that is actually, alam ni Senator Sherwin yan, kung titignan natin yung case ng Lasureco, abutin tayo ng isang araw niyan in discussions, maybe more. Talagang matagal yan. Because really, they're now in a I'm using the wrong analogy. They're now in a rock and a hard place. Because what is happening is due to the maybe mismanagement through the decades, nagkaroon sila napakalaking utang, hindi na nila po mababayaran yan, Madam Chair. That's why we have to figure out something with Senator Gatchalian. Hopefully we can come back. Inshallah, we can come back into the Senate. And then we can look maybe for a legislative remedy for that, Sherwin, wherein maybe the loans might have to be written off if you want to start new, fresh. Because really, chicken or the egg scenario nun eh. Hindi sila makabayad, mataas ang rates dahil sa mga loans na nangyari na many decades of years ago. Many decades ago.
Actually, Majority Leader, that point that you brought up also calls to mind what Senator Drilon earlier mentioned, that in certain things it could be political. For example, you have your constituents that are not paying, pero hindi naman pwedeng putulan ng cooperative kasi sinasabi ng mga local officials, halimbawa, no, you provide pa rin the service kasi syempre naawa rin sa constituents, di ba? So nakakalusot. You really need management that is in a way very professional. We need to be sticklers to the rules, maybe provide na lang subsidies to those who cannot afford. But it really happens.
I need to make
also.
a presentation.
Yeah, actually, you're absolutely correct, Madam Chair. We have to come up with a master plan for the Lanao Sur constituency kasi naawa talaga ako sa kanila. I was just there last week. I was in their area and talagang poverty will prevail in these areas if you don't have electricity. If you don't provide them with electricity, they'll be living in the dark ages. So when there's poverty, when there's the lack of these basic services, then we have strife, we have war, we have people who take up extrajudicial, extra-legal means so that they can survive. And that's what we have to prevent. Kaya hopefully when we get back, and Senator Gatchalian will be with me and Senator Grace will still be there, maybe we can come up with a sort of like piece of legislation, maybe a formula for a way out for the hardships of the Lasureco group, particularly those constituencies of Lanao del Sur. But for now, Madam Chair, I understand the need. Maybe that's why some areas are going to go under Laneco because maybe because of that, because of Lasureco's having difficulty being able to service the area, then siguro tinake over na. I'm just making a guess. No? Maybe that is why they're taking over the area of Lasureco. But yes, valid point of this good gentleman from Valenzuela who will be taking charge of the debt of that particular area. So maybe tama po yan, Madam Chair. We can support this measure, but let's have them come up with a transition plan so that we can see what the plan will be.
Actually, Majority Leader, I think the ERC was raising their hand. Do I have anybody from the ERC? Did you
Good
want to add to that?
afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. And no more, Madam Chair, that these were already articulated by Senator Zubiri. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Ang galing talaga ni Majority eh.
Madam Chair, that's why I suggested for the two GMs to get together, because there are a lot of technical items and also financial items that they have to agree between themselves. The Senator Zubiri is absolutely correct. It will take us more than a week probably to discuss all the details. And then the two GMs should just submit to the committee a transition plan. And if they have any suggestion on how the Senate can intervene, insofar as putting Lazareco back to shape, and then we're open to do that. Senator Zubiri, majority floor is absolutely correct. This debt is already generational, intergenerational na ito. So it's going to be impossible for one generation to settle a 13 billion debt. So I think the legislature needs to intervene in this case. But we have to study this very carefully. And let's wait for the GMs to propose to us what mechanisms we can employ to bring Lazareco back to its feet.
Okay, thank you, Senator Gatchalian. We will certainly take note of your suggestions, and the Secretariat, please make sure to follow up with Lanao del Norte Electric Cooperative with regards to the request of Senator Gatchalian that both GMs have a discussion and submit to us what they've discussed. Okay, moving on. Guys, let's try to finish this by 4 p.m. Next is Bicol Light and Power Corporation. Is there a presentation from Bicol Light? This is the second time we are going to discuss this. I would also like to hear the comments of the Committee on Energy Chair after the presentation. And then I would like, who's going to present for Bicol Light?
Mr. Delgado, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Delgado, you have a few minutes to present, after which I would like to hear the stakeholders of Casureco, Attorney Briones, to react.
Thank you.
Please make it short.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah. Our vision, Madam Chair and everybody, is to make our clients truly free. And our mission, our bottom line, is customer choice and lower power cost. This, we believe, is of public interest. So we are looking at the 21st century kind of power distribution. Traditionally, power systems go from large-scale generation to transmission to distribution and then end users. You know, this old infrastructure, this old power system is impacted by natural disaster, and consumers have no control where their power comes from, nor do they have any control over the price they pay. So the 4 key strategies that we're going to implement, Madam Chair, and I would like to emphasize, we're not taking over any other cooperative, any utility. We're just giving customer choice. This is the 4. Number 1, we will install smart power lines using latest technologies like smart meters and artificial intelligence-based softwares that will allow two-way power flows. Second, we will put in independent home solar battery solutions for reliable, resilient, and lower cost options for the poor. Third, we will put in microgrid solutions for high usage of households, again, for reliable, resilient power system that will be cost-effective for the households. And finally, we will put in peer-to-peer renewable energy trading for traditionally connected households and SMEs, giving households more chance to make money from their roofs. So, how do we install the smart grid system? We will be installing power lines connected to smart transformers capable of real-time load monitoring and transfer. This is important when you are exporting power from your homes. We will install smart meters capable of prepaid, auto-debit, real-time monitoring for the customers in their smartphones. We will install artificial intelligence-based technologies to have real-time capability to detect faults. And finally, install renewable energy technologies in collaboration with the community to increase resiliency of the system. So for example, a distributed microgrid of a particular barangay, we can put in solar and a storage, and that will have what they call an AC capacity of 5 kilowatts. This is about 3,000 households, and their cost will actually go down rather than go up. And it will be resilient because they will not be dependent on external power generators. We will also put in independent home solar systems that will provide power almost 24 hours. Now they have a rooftop solar in their homes, and it can connect to lights, TV, radio, and at a very low cost to the households, Madam Chair. And also for the bigger homes, really, for the small homes, really, we put in a combination of solar and battery in their homes. This will bring down again the cost. And this is capable of remote disconnection and connection and mobile pay. And so forth with commercial targets, no? Commercial establishments. The peer-to-peer sale platform is innovative because we will be using a new operating system for one household to sell to another household. This is a blockchain-enabled software so that Mrs. Castro can sell to Mrs. De Los Reyes in a platform where they can earn money for themselves. No? So the peer-to-peer sale platform allows excess energy coming from certain rooftop solar owners to those who need the power. In fact, even here in Pasig, we've been talking to the local government because they have excess. They have some solar systems they can sell to the poorest of the barangays through this platform. So another possibility is the parish church, small and medium enterprises. They can always buy from their neighbors their excess solar power at a lower cost. Easily 1 peso lower because there is no NGCP charges. No? So we also have looked at the legal basis, and that the Constitution provides that the state shall regulate or prohibit monopolies when public interest so requires. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. That ends my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Delgado. We would like now to get, before we begin with the questions, I would like to ask the representative from Casureco to render her comments before we open the floor for questions.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. And
go ahead.
Senators present at this afternoon's hearing, good afternoon. Casureco 3 would like to present this clear but concise presentation outlining the progress of Casureco 3 from an ailing co-op in 2016 to a AA categorized electric cooperative, and therefore submitting our position that the premise in the application for franchise in the Rinconada area by the Bicolite and Power Corporation is no longer existing. So here is our presentation. We start with how Casureco 3 was before. In 2016, from 2014 to 2016, and the latest was in 2016, we had a net loss of 25.2 million. In those years, Casureco 3 was classified as red, or an ailing electric cooperative. And it was categorized by NEA for these 3 years as Category D, the lowest category for an electric cooperative. But look at where we are now. The Task Force Duterte Rinconada Power assumed the management and policy-making body in Casureco 3 on February 7, 2017. The first that we will be presenting is the technical aspects. In 2015, we had a system loss of 18.5, 2016, 19.23, and now As of May 2021, we have a system loss of 11.61, which is lower than the NEA standard. On power reliability, which is the SID and the SIFI, in SID for 2021 as of May, we have 99.46 minutes, or again below the standard of NEA, which is set at 2,700 minutes per year. In power interruptions or SIFI, we are way below the 25 interruptions per year, or 3.09 only. Formerly, we only had a 22.5 MVA capacity, but now we have 40 MVA capacity. On the financial aspect, in the year 2016, as I have said, we had a net loss of 25.2 million, but as you can see, the net margin has been steadily rising. As in the year 2020, even with the 3 typhoons, we closed at 30.1 million net margin. And as of May 2021, we have a net margin of 28.9 million. Our collection efficiency for the year 2016 was 88.03, but we have improved to 91.30. But in this year, there was the pandemic and of course the 3 typhoons that battered Casoreco 3. But as of May 2021, we have a 94.79 collection efficiency. We have paid our outstanding payables. The old payables was a total of 1.2 billion, and we were able to pay 389.9 million, and we only have a balance of 852 million. We are now current and restructured current with all our payables, even with ANEA, and the PISAM, more than 500 million, was bought out by the GPP. To summarize, the cost of typhoon damages was more than 156 million, but we were able to rehab and restore power in record time, much earlier than the other electric cooperatives in Camarines Sur. On the institutional aspect, the level of electrification in 2016 was only 82%, but as of May 2021, the level of electrification is 100.29%. This is the number of households energized versus the census, the latest census of households in the Rinconada area. And so Casoreco 3 had been receiving several awards, even from the San Miguel Energy Corporation, the PhilReca, and the NEA. And at year-end in 2019, only about 2 years after the assumption of the Task Force Rinconada Power in Casoreco 3, we were already categorized as AA. And in the preliminary assessment released by NEA for the year 2020, Casoreco 3 is again categorized as AA. This is second to the highest categorization because the highest categorization is AAA. So we would like to submit this to the committee, and again we reiterate that there is no reason to grant another company or corporation a franchise to construct, to manage, and operate the Rinconada area. Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, and thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Madam Chair,
Who's raising their hand?
Congressman El Rey, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Congressman. Welcome to our hearing. Congressman El Rey is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair and honorable members of the committee, Senator Frank, Senator Mick, Senator Mick, Sherwin, and all the members. I filed the bill with regards to the application of Bicolite as early as 2016. 2016, based on the presentation of the Casureco, they were really one of the worst performing cooperatives in the country. I'm happy to note that since I filed the bill, they have constantly improved from 2016 up to now. So, I'd just like to point out that, if we didn't file this bill, they probably would not even make an effort to improve. No? But basically, Madam Chair, the purpose of this bill that I filed together with Congressman Fortuno is really to give a choice to the people based on public interest. The Constitution really guarantees, they're really against monopoly. And basically, what's happening now with cooperatives, especially with Casureco, it's really a monopoly, meaning the people do not have a choice. The purpose of this bill really basically is to make the people, give them a choice. And when there's competition, basically, eventually, both companies will perform better, the public will have a better choice, and eventually power will go down. Of course, Casureco will always oppose this measure because they're a monopoly now. They don't want competition. But if you ask them personally, who doesn't want a choice? So basically, Madam Chair, we appeal to the members of this committee, this innovative concept that Bicolite would want to implement once given the chance to have a franchise, especially the smart grid and others. It's worth the chance that Bicolite will be given a franchise, Madam Chair. Basically, we really want the people of Rinconada and Camsor to have a choice. And para talaga mapababa ang mga power. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Congressman El Rey. I note also that you are rejoicing in the improvement of the service of Casureco. But I'm one of those that believe in competition and choice for the consumers. Now, the question may be, would we allow two service providers of the same thing in an area and give them both a franchise? I don't know if that's allowed, but I know that we allowed Solar Para sa Bayan, which is national and can basically set up anywhere. So maybe we will want to hear the comments of our distinguished colleagues here to comment, or maybe if you have any questions that you would like to add. I hear Senator Gatchalian. Go ahead, please.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. Well, first of all, Madam Chair, let me commend the task force headed by GM Ana Alcisto and Attorney Veronica Briones, because since they took over in 2017, they have managed to turn this cooperative around and back to its peak of health. Admittedly, before, Madam Chair, 2017 and beyond, this is really a poorly performing cooperative. Its grade is letter D, which is the lowest. And in terms of liabilities, performance, it's really one of the worst in the areas. But after the task force took over, they have managed to improve the category from letter D to AA, which is one notch below the highest standard of AAA. And from red classification, which is the worst, now to yellow one, which is a few notches away from green. So in other words, Madam Chair, they have managed to nurse this PUO back to health. There's still a few items to improve. For example, system losses, collection efficiency, but this is only one notch away to reaching a perfect score. So, Madam Chair, I'd like to again give credit where credit is due. Turning around a co-op is no easy feat because you have to deal with your suppliers, with collection efficiency, with technical issues. So, having said that, Madam Chair, electric power utilities are a natural monopoly. And that is their unique feature because it lowers down cost. With economies of scale, they can charge their consumers much lower cost. And in the past hearings, we conducted 2 hearings, in fact, in 2018, one in February and the other one is in September. ERC ran simulations, and they mentioned that if an area will have 2 utilities, in effect, no, in simple terms, the consumers will be divided into 2, and the assets or the recovery of assets will be still charged to those divided consumers. So in effect, and ERC is here to present their findings. In effect, consumers will feel increased electricity rates if you have 2 utilities operating in one single area. So, Madam Chair, originally the context of this proposal was because Casureco 3 was not performing well. But right now, you've seen the numbers, it is performing very well. I commend also Bicol Light for their technology offerings earlier. Those technologies, I think, can be offered to Casureco 3 as a service or as an addition to what they are providing in their franchise area. So, Madam Chair, as a way forward, I would like to suggest to let ERC present their simulations, their RAN simulations again, because at the end of the day, the consumers is the ultimate beneficiary of our decisions. And if electricity rates will go up, then it's futile to move forward with this proposal because our consumers will bear the brunt again in terms of electricity rates. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I see the hand of our minority leader. Go ahead, sir. You're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Congressman Villafuerte presented a very important question. Under our system and under the Constitution, there is nothing there which says that a franchise is exclusive. In other words, there is no prohibition, to my knowledge. But also, by practice and by tradition, there is a recognition of the natural monopoly, as Senator Gatchalian pointed out, because the policy issue is that the consumer will benefit from a monopoly insofar as this is concerned. That is a policy decision and a conclusion of Congress. I am not saying that that is etched in stone, that can be examined, because as I said, there is no there is no constitutional prohibition against a second franchise. But again, the bottom line is what is the public interest. Just at this point, Madam Chair, may I share with you a development in our franchise area in Iloilo. By closely working with and monitoring our present distribution utility, which, as you may be aware, Madam Chair, is embroiled in a very difficult or a very tedious legal maneuvers from PECO, with PECO, and which franchise we granted recently to More Power was able to reduce the power rates in Iloilo, Madam Chair, from the present 10 pesos plus per kilowatt hour, which could be the highest in the country, to 6 pesos and 40 centavos per kilowatt hour effective this month, probably the lowest in the country. So from the highest, our electric rates in the city became the lowest in the entire country. And the reduction was due to the cheaper power supply sourced from the geothermals in Leyte at about 3 pesos and 50 centavos per kilowatt hour versus the coal rates, which was 5 pesos and 83 centavos. The consumers in Iloilo, Madam Chair, is now enjoying electricity cost at the level of the 1990s. Can you imagine the rate that they are paying now is the same rate in the 1990s. And this is principally because of the lower contract, geothermal contract. But this is good only for 6 months. Afterwards, the rates will be in accordance with the competitive bidding. The reason I'm pointing this out is maybe I do not know. I know that there's been problems insofar as Camarines Sur is concerned. You know, Mrs. Drilon is from Baao, and we are not immune to complaints from pleas of assistance from my wife's province. I am just sharing this because I thought that we were able to do something substantial in terms of reducing the cost to the consumers in Iloilo with the investment done by more. They have invested in capital expenditures to allow its system to source from the national grid versus a monopoly before of Panay Power. And More has a 5-year capital expenditure program of 2.7 billion pesos. So I am just sharing this with the committee. And I don't know to what extent it can serve as a model to the situations in Camarines Sur. I do not know the situation there, Congressman Fuerte. I'm just relating to you my actual experience in my province. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Madam Chair, can I make a short reaction?
Yes, Congressman Elway.
Thank you, Senator Frank. Listening from you always, we always learn from you. And we thank you for your words, and we wish that the people from Iloilo can someday be in Camarines Sur to help us run power plants. No, but objectively, Senator and members of the committee, we appeal for you to consider. We already agreed that there is no provision for two companies operating in one. By practice and tradition, yes, it's been going on. But sometimes we have to deviate because I appeal to the members of the committee, sirs. Although Casureco has said that they have improved, the power rate has really not improved, and there's real brownouts. And objectively, sirs, we cannot really attract industries in Camarines Sur, especially in the areas of Casureco, because when we would try to attract them, although labor cost is cheaper in Camsur and in the provinces, they always ask magkano power. And if we compare power rates in Casureco as against our neighbors, it's really nakakalungkot po. And we try so hard to promote investors to come in, but it always goes down ang power. So the solution really is how do we improve? Ngayon, the ERC will present later and come out with a theory that it will drive the price up. But how can you drive the price up when ERC is the one who will approve the power rates? If Bicolite is approved with the franchise, they can regulate the power cost, and Bicolite will even risk having a lower power cost with least recovery and even lose money. I think it's really worth a try, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Yung sinasabi kasing ERC theory and others that it will increase, it remains to be seen. I think it's worth the risk. Kasi we appeal sa Camarines Sur, wala kaming major industry. Wala kaming factory on anything. Lahat small scale. And it's about time that we give Camarines Sur a chance by having a power rate, a cheaper power rate. Maganda ang Rinconado district. We have skilled laborers, we have natural resources. But unfortunately, we are not as blessed as Iloilo with running the power co-ops. We cannot waste time when the pandemic is over. Dapat we should be open for investment with having cheaper power. That is just my appeal. I'm coming from the ground. Then the reality, sirs, is by practice, by tradition, we understand. But the reality, sirs, is cooperatives are always politicized. You know, for example, if you ask Kasureco now, ask them, sino ba ang pinakamalaking may utang? The city of Iriga, the mayor who's been controlling Kasureco board for the longest time and even now, hindi nagbabayad. Sino ba ang pangalawang pinakamalaking may utang? Aside from the city of Iriga controlled by the Alfilors, the school owned by Alfilor, University of Northeastern Philippines. Bakit ba hindi nila makolek yan? Bakit ba hindi nila makolek ng maayos yan? You can ask them. They're the top 2 debtors of Kasureco. And yet, they're the ones opposing this. So yun lang po ang appeal namin. Politics aside, public interest muna tayo. We really want cheaper power, efficient power. That's just my appeal, honorable senators.
Yes, thank you, Congressman El Rey, whether and Senator. Anyway, I just want to compliment also what Senator Drilon said earlier. I'm not really aware of any provision in the law that says that there should only be one service provider for a particular service in an area. What I do know is the Public Service Act defines a natural monopoly as one that should be owned by a majority of Filipino citizens. That's the only thing that I know. It doesn't really specify that, let's say it's a natural monopoly, that every area will only have that one company providing service for that particular industry. So I don't know. Senator Drilon, I know that for a natural monopoly, it's only in the current Public Service Act, which we have not yet amended, and hopefully soon we will, it only mentions about ownership. It doesn't say that there should be a monopoly of one ownership per area.
That's correct, ma'am. As I said, the Constitution does not, does not mandate that, or the Constitution does not prohibit a second franchise. And as I have said, this all boils down to a policy. Because even if I don't recall the provisions of the Public Service Act, but even assuming that there is that provision in the Public Service Act which does not allow a second distribution utility in the same franchise area, that is only a law which can be amended by Congress. And again, it goes down to the question, will it benefit the consumers to have a second distributor? Will it make it more difficult to implement? Because right now, ma'am, in all the franchises that we have granted in the past, I don't recall of a second franchise being granted in the same area. I may be wrong. I'm talking out of stock knowledge. Wala po kong naalaala na pangalawang prangkisa in the same franchise area. It has always been a natural monopoly. And the rationalization is that it is to the public interest now. So that it is for us to determine whether or not it is to the public interest in the Camarines Sur or in the franchise area serviced by Kasureco, whether a second franchise will be beneficial to the consumers. I repeat, ma'am, it is not a matter of constitutional prohibition. It is a matter of policy. And to me, the underlying principle is, will it benefit the consumers? Kasi po, hindi ko naman ma-imagine sa isang sa harap mo, dalawang poste, iba-iba ang distributor. I mean, that's all. That's from an amateur's point of view. But just to demonstrate, just to reiterate, sa atin po yan, we determine whether it is to the public interest that we should have more than one distribution utility. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear from Senator Zubiri and then later on maybe from the ERC. But I would like to remind everyone that we've been with this hearing for quite a bit. We still have two more to tackle. So let's move on, and then we will just ask for your position papers, and for the senators, if you have any reservations, we can talk about this even beyond this hearing. Senator Zubiri first, and then Senator Gatchalian, and then the ERC. Just a short comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a short comment, Madam Chair. Senator Drilon is absolutely correct, because what happened with PECO and more, PECO's franchise lapsed, and therefore it was more that filled the vacuum, and it was more that was given the franchise by Congress and the Senate, and therefore because of that, they were able to legally take over the franchise area. So you're absolutely correct. I don't know of any franchise yet that has on distribution, particularly in distribution. Although I also agree with Congressman El Rey. I mean, I also commensurate with him, because if he really wants better service, that's end of the bottom line is you want better service. That's why I'm very happy for the people of Iloilo, because of what they did, no, including the local governments, where they supported more, even at the angry, screams of PECO. The people eventually are getting the service that they deserve now, and we made a decision in Congress for that. So yeah, bottom line is they have to get better service. They deserve nothing less. So it's something that we have to discuss, Madam Chair. Maybe we'll be coming back anyway next week. We can discuss that as a principle, because we will have several of these issues, Madam Grace. We will have several of these issues, particularly when the franchise areas of cooperatives will already lapse. Many people will start coming in and start offering private corporate service. So this is something that we have to discuss eventually. As what is our policy? Do we allow two, or do we just give it to just one, and allow the electric cooperative or a private entity to run the area? But yeah, and just to make a special mention, see Guido Delgado is a good friend of mine, so I'm sure he'll run it well if he takes over. He's a good man. He used to be with the National Power Corporation, if I'm not mistaken, and so he's a good man. He's from UPLB, also my College of Economics and Management alumni head. so Madam Chair, just but yes, we have to come up with that policy. We have to answer that policy question, Madam Chair.
Okay, Senator Gatchalian.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair, the reason why the Public Services Act, and also I read some jurisprudence by the Supreme Court. The reason why the Supreme Court and also various laws recognize natural monopolies is because the electric power industry is so capital intensive. It's a capital intensive industry. Just building the lines, transformers, the transmission lines, the only way to defray the cost is to spread it out to its consumers and its franchise area and regulate it through and through. So this is a natural monopoly, but regulation is the one that keeps it intact when it comes to returns and capital recovery. So in short, Madam Chair, I've never seen any jurisdiction around the world wherein there are two utilities operating in one area. Even here in our country, I've never come across any area wherein they have two utilities operating. The Solar Para sa Bayan franchise is a special franchise and a very limited franchise. In fact, we limited it to only the unserved areas. So meaning it has various, the scope, the coverage is in various provinces, but it can only enter when that area is unserved. So meaning if there is electricity, it cannot enter that area. So it's a very limited and in terms of coverage. So Madam Chair, at the end of the day, it's really what the consumers will experience when we have this type of a setup. And we've run simulations internally, ERC run simulations internally, and everything points to one direction. The rates will go up. And that's a big red flag to us because the consumers there will definitely bear the brunt of increasing monthly electricity bill, Madam Chair. So I would really be very cautious in terms of approaching this bill, although I want to commend Mr. Guido for the innovations and technologies that he presented. In fact, those are the technologies I see. However, those technologies I feel can be offered to any utility as a service and as a supply contract. But at the end of the day, we have to be very sensitive to the rate adjustments because this industry is very the investment needed is so tremendous that it needs to defray the cost by allocating it to its consumers.
Okay, thank you, Senator Gatchalian. May we hear from the ERC before we suspend the concern regarding this franchise? The ERC, please.
Okay, good afternoon, Madam Chair, and good afternoon to all of the members of Congress, both from the Senate and from the House. For the ERC, Your Honors, well, the other centers had already articulated a lot on the nature of the distribution utility business, and it's actually a natural monopoly. But in terms of evaluation of rates that we conduct, we look at the investments, and then in the determination of the rates, then we look at what we call the billing determinant, or the consumers, or the demand that will be paying for what would be the investments, because you have to understand that the investor would have to recover also the assets. So just to simplify things, Your Honors, what will now be the setup of these two distribution utilities if they will be allowed to coexist with one another? Will there be separate distribution lines being constructed in the franchise area? Then those investments from both distribution utilities would have to be recovered. And if they share the customer base, which is more or less finite because they cannot offer their services outside, then the customers will have to be split into these two distribution utilities, and from those customers will come the recovery of the investment. So if there's only one distribution utility operating, Your Honors, then the customer base that will be paying for the investments together with the return will be larger, and a larger denominator would mean a lower rate in electricity. So
Okay,
on the
Attorney, all those things that you mentioned, you haven't really said what the position of the ERC is. So basically, what your position is, there is no policy as to allowing one or more. You're just saying the disadvantages and the possible cautionary measures that we should consider, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so in short, walang regulation ng ERC. Walang sinasabing bawal, right?
Legally, Your Honors, under the Constitution, there is no such prohibition. But in terms of economics and the impact to the consumers, then that's where the difference
I know,
lies.
but then you know what? We are basing it on a theory that basically, if you have a natural monopoly, the costs will be lower because the base of consumers will just have to deal with one provider. But what you're not considering here is that it's never been tried before, and that there's a factor called competition that encourage other companies to provide better service at a lower cost. Diba? That's another side of the coin. What is your comparison? Wala. Have you had a study on that?
Your Honors, admittedly, don't have any study of that because we have not had that kind of situation.
Okay, anyway, let me ask the representative of, I'm not saying whatever's correct. I would like, if ever we're going to start with something, that we enter into this telling ourselves that we exhausted all possible studies that will point out to better service. Okay, if you have to allow it, so what? If we allow it for the first time, we'll see if it will work. If it doesn't work, it's a less cautionary tale. But again, wala nga sa Constitution nagsasabing bawal. So let's see, Mr. Delgado of Bicol Light, tell me.
Yeah, I would like
tama ba yung sinabi ni Senator Drilon? His concern is, dalawang poste ba yan? Magpapatayo rin kayo ng sarili niyong mga linya. Paano ngayon yan?
No, but by the way, the thing is, today, electricity is no longer a natural monopoly. That is the mistake that a lot of us make because we have not looked into the advanced technologies that this world has introduced the last 10 years. So I protest when people say it's a natural monopoly. Has it ever happened in the Philippines that there were two franchises in one area? Yes. Many years ago, there was Dagupan Electric and there was this Pangasinan Electric Cooperative. I think one of them survived. The other died eventually because the people chose one over the other. I don't remember which one. Did we have this telephone? I had two telephone systems in Davao. We had PLDT and DCTS. So the point is, it is not, you don't need to have two poles. I mean, one can be underground and the other one overground. So, this is aesthetics. No? So I would like to counter the argument that it is that has not been done. The second one is I'd like to point out to you a particular study we did and we run where this particular utility somewhere in the Visayas, it used to cost them 14.5 pesos per kilowatt hour. But by introduction of the technologies I mentioned, we will be able to bring it down to 8 pesos and 90 centavos, reduce it with an investment for this particular barangay of 14 million pesos with a payback of 7 years with no price increase. In fact, it will be reduced, no forex, no fuel price adjustment. So this is to prove to you, and this is going to be real money that's going to be put in. So what I'm trying to show is, A, the technologies of today, Madam Chair, are so that those big investments are no longer needed. You can actually bring in services to the people in electricity with much, much lower cost. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So let's go and do it.
Okay, thank you. This will be a long, never-ending discussion. But I think that we will have to read the position papers again, and I will also have to take into consideration the opinions of the other members of our committee. But certainly, I don't feel we should be stagnant with whatever is tradition or whatever's there already. Let's explore possibilities. We will consult more on this matter, so I will have to suspend deliberations for this. I cannot yet finalize the committee report without consulting with our other colleagues in the committee, as is the practice. Okay? Kasi kung hindi, pagdating yan sa floor, haharangin rin naman yan eh. Hindi rin naman yan makakalusot unless we really come up with an agreeable position. Okay. Before we move on to the last item, I would just, I didn't intentionally do this, but I didn't extensively discuss the establishment of an extension office, LTFRB, in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, and then a regular office in Bacoor, Cavite, and also Dasmariñas, Cavite. Now, I'm not anymore going to ask for the LTFRB support of this. Just submit to us your position paper if you agree to the establishments of this LTFRB satellite offices. And also, I would like to hear from...
Madam Chair.
Hold on. Let me finish this matter, Congressman Elre. And then I would like to hear also from the DOTR if they support this. Okay, Congressman Elre, you are recognized.
Sorry, I got cut. No, I wasn't able to listen to Guido, but I would just like to briefly state before we end regarding the Bicolite. I was encouraged in filing this bill because of the Constitution that encouraged entrepreneurial spirit. If you will allow me to read the provision, no? It is the trust of the state to regulate or prohibit monopolies when public interest so requires, and that no combination and restraint opportunities to all in pursuit of the entrepreneurial spirit, Article 12, Section 19 of the Philippine Constitution. Moreover, it is the policy of the law to liberalize key sectors in the economy and provide equal opportunities to all in pursuit of the entrepreneurial spirit. Madam Chair, what I'm just trying to drive at is while there is practice and tradition, the Constitution really guarantees entrepreneurial spirit by having competition. And just lastly, Article 12, Section 11 also states, the state shall encourage equal participation in public utilities by the general public. So, Madam, with that, in this case of the pandemic, higher cost of power, we should take a risk by having an entrepreneurial spirit. At the end of the day, I put my name or family name that when Bicolite is granted a franchise, power will definitely be more efficient and eventually go down. Kasi ma'am, the oppositors are only based on theories But ako, it's guaranteed all over the world. When there's competition, prices go down.
Okay, thank you. Those are very persuasive provisions that you cited. We thank you for it. Please make sure that we have a copy of that, Congressman El Rey. Nakataya na yung pangalan mo dito kasi matagal mo nang pinaglalaban ito. And I know ikaw ang mapupuruhan kung hindi maganda ang serbisyo nito, especially you're in public service. All right. With that, we will just briefly discuss first Happy Jockey Club Incorporated. May we ask for the representative? Please tell me what jockey club this is, what area. Do we need another racetrack? I think I see Senator Drilon's curiosity being piqued now. Is Mr. Puyat present?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, I am Raymond Puyat.
Yes, good afternoon. Mr. Puyat, where are you planning to put up your racetrack?
In Padre Garcia, in Batangas.
Di ba meron ng sa Cavite?
There is, ma'am.
Okay, so why do you need another one?
There is a clamor from several or a lot of horse owners who put up a facility that can cater to, let's put it this, a better facilities in order to entice not only local horse owners but also foreign horse owners.
Is this something that we want to encourage?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, why? Okay, just for the record, a disclaimer, my father was a carrerista, okay?
Yes.
And I know that there was in San Lazaro and then also in Santa Ana, both of them now are no longer racetracks. It's already relocated to Cavite. Now, that area where you plan to build that racetrack, what is it now?
It's an open field.
Meron bang taniman doon? Is it an agricultural land?
The owners used to lease it out to sugarcane growers, and then they terminated the lease. So we talked to the owners, and we entered into a lease agreement with them.
Okay, who will be the owners of this Happy Jockey?
Myself, Mr. Aristeo Puyat, Mr. Elmer De Leon, Mr. Oliver Velasquez, Mr. Manny Viray, Mr. Manny Santos, and several small stockholders.
How did you get into this, Mr. Puyat?
We've been in the horse racing industry for several decades now.
Oh, that's right. I think I see your family name there as owners. Puyat. Yes, very familiar. And Santos is also one of them. Okay, ganito na lang. Can you please submit to us your position paper, what your plans, how many employees, the income generated, the possible income to be generated. As you know, this is still gambling. So you need to make sure that the community will not be impacted negatively. Ayaw natin na dumami yung crime doon or how will you ensure community development, things like that. I know that you're going to pay a lot of taxes because that's what's happening now. So that's good. And without me mentioning, there are several local government officials that are supportive of this in your area because they feel that it will generate jobs. So please just submit to us because anyway, even if we gave you time today, we cannot decide on this because I'm sure the minority leader would like to scrutinize this further as well as our majority leaders and our colleagues. Okay?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right.
Madam Chair, quickly, 1 second lang, 1 second. I just want to. I didn't know we had a franchise for application for racetracks.
Of course.
But I just want to say something nice about this fellow. Raymond Puyat is a good friend of mine. He used to have black hair like me. We're both white hair na, pare. What happened to you? But their family are great racehorse breeders. As a matter of fact, his uncle Poch Puyat was one of the best thoroughbred race breeders. No, thoroughbred horses.
With me right now, Senator.
Tito Poch is with you?
Yes.
Yeah, they one of the best, and I learned from them when I was also breeding horses when your father was still racing them.
Because the next thing is hihingi ng franchise ng racehorse dyan sa Bukidnon. So,
breeding na lang po kami, Madam Grace. We are a good breeding area for somebody hopefully will apply in Cagayan de Oro. I'm hoping that one day somebody will apply for Davao or Cagayan de Oro so that we can breed for them. Because Bukidnon is a beautiful
area, Senator.
Yes.
Absolutely. I've been to Bukidnon and I've seen the beautiful stables there. But not the ones owned by the family of the majority leader. Others.
Wala na po. Na-land reform na kami po.
Okay.
Anyway, so thank you, Madam Chair, for that. I just wanted to say hello to my dear friend and their family.
Are you related to are you related to Secretary Puyat's husband?
Yes, I'm the brother of Dave, the husband of Secretary.
He's the brother, Madam Chair, of Dave.
That's why you look like him. Yes. I remember him. He was a neighbor.
My uncle would like to speak to you because he was a close friend of your father.
Oh.
Madam Chair, I'm Puch Puyat.
Yes, sir. Hi.
Sir FPJ and me our stables were side by side, and was to see each other almost every week. And I was the one who arranged the last movie of Efren Reyes to be with him, partners.
Oh, look at nako, ito na, disclaimer na to. I'm not going to vote based on this, but we will look at the merits. But it's so nice to hear, and one of I think the happiest times of my dad was usually when he spent time in the races with his friends and the horses, of course. And I know that he had a lot of loyal employees. The community there was really a tight-knit community. So if the happy jockey can provide a happy community to help their local education, healthcare, whatever you can add to the community in Batangas, I'm sure that it will be a welcome addition to the businesses there. I see the hand of the minority leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just curious. Given the pandemic and the fact that there's been no activities of the nature of horse racing allowed, how has your industry been doing, Mr. Puyat, for the last 18 months?
The industry has been struggling, Senator.
Yes.
It's a fact. And, we would like to preserve the industry and actually uplift it. That's why we are entering into this venture.
You mean you are willing to risk all your resources?
Hopefully not all, Mr. Senator. Hopefully not all.
No, but just for the record, notwithstanding the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic on your industry, you feel that it's still a good area of investment?
It can still be. We will need a lot of help from the Senate and the Congress, but we still think it can be.
I see a lot of hesitation in your answer, Mr. Puyat, but I leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, maybe I can assist the good minority floor leader. A lot of it now, Senator Jolon, are done online. It's mostly online now. So
yes.
Most of the races
now are watched actual horse racing facility, yung requiring.
Yes, stables.
I'm not talking about online, obviously, that's not. But to invest in horse track, to invest in the stands, whatever that is, etc. Given that's why I'm asking, how did the industry survive in the face of the pandemic? And as I suspected, talagang hirap na hirap ang industriya ngayon. Hindi po ba?
Our vision, Senator, is not to limit it to horse racing per se, but to equine sports.
Yes.
So we will include equestrian, polo,
And to Minority Floor Leader, the beauty of these horse race tracks, because we used to breed horses for racing. As a matter of fact, Raymond bought our stallion, si Real Top. He made it into a breeder. You have several auxiliary businesses, which is the horse breeding. Of course, you have to hire the sotas, you have to hire the veterinarians. So there's a whole industry to it, and a lot of people actually, it's like a bit of there's a bit of agriculture to it, so breeding these horses. But
Okay.
again,
I,
Madam Chair,
I have a
thank you.
question, Majority Leader. Since you're at the top, they were discussing it will not just be horse racing. You'll also have equestrian programs there, and also a polo field.
Yes.
Okay.
That's our plan.
Currently with the online gaming, there are actually races being conducted, right? Wala lang live audience. Am I correct?
For the past month, they've been allowing the presence in racetracks already.
Pero the whole time that there was a pandemic, the races were going on, wala lang audience.
Yes. That's
Kasi alam mo, Senator Drilon, malaking kita nila yan. Because yung online, malakas yan. Yung mga dating nagtatrabaho sa DADCO, hindi na kailangan pumunta ng off-track betting places. Online sila lahat. Ay, alam ko na yun. Okay. So, I guess that's it. We will consider your
Thank
application.
you, Madam Chair, consider me as a supporter of Happy Jockey. Hindi
Thank
pa
you.
ako nila kinakausap. I haven't spoken to them. I haven't seen them. But when it comes to horse racing, I fully support. And the Puyats are a very well-respected family. They have a very good name to protect. And that I can guarantee. They're very good people, Madam Chair. And with the name Happy, gustong-gusto po ni Senator Gatchalian, yung Happy. Happy Jockey Club. Happy...
Okay, I think we should...
Happy palagi.
Teka muna. We should adjourn na this hearing.
Salamat,
But,
Madam Chair. Tahimik na ako, Madam Chair. Tahimik.
Thank you,
Yes,
Senator
please.
Mix. Thank you, Senator Mix.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time this afternoon. We will actually go through a lot of documents pending the submissions that we requested from the different government agencies. And also we will have amongst ourselves discuss especially the very contentious but certainly could be a pioneering concept of having two providers of service of the same service in an area. So again, thank you for your time, and for now, our hearing is now adjourned.
Thank you. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.